This is another iRaw podcast.
Maybe I should rename this series Watch Me Get Scammed So You Don't Have to.
Welcome to Wildly Unplugged, sharing stories of nature, conservation, and creativity. Discover what develops when you unplug and step outdoors.
Welcome back to week 10, the update of Wildly Rejected. If you're new here, I am on a mission to try and get rejected 1,000 times. I was inspired by Gabby, who started the 1,000 Rejection Challenge, because you just never know until you ask. This week's cover image is a picture of a little chipmunk that was in my backyard this week, and it's a reminder to keep climbing high and reaching for your dreams. This little guy is up about 6 feet, and I've never seen a little chippy do that before, so I thought it was pretty cool and I wanted to share, and he's just looking so cute. So this week, it started off really great and on a huge high note. That was until I learned what vanity publishing is. I received this email. I'm pleased to inform you that Vinnie the Vulture Finds His Place has been accepted for publication and would like to offer you one of our inclusive contracts. This is to include 22 illustrations supplied by the publisher. While this contract requires a share of the production costs to be provided by the author, it is otherwise no different to our traditional contracts. We receive several hundred new submissions every month, and out of that, on average, only 10% will be taken through to the final review stage. There are many that we regrettably have to decline, and as a hybrid publisher, we are able to offer the option of an inclusive contract with enhanced royalties and subsidiary rights for the author, giving the opportunity for the work to be published rather than having to reject good quality work. There is, however, some misunderstanding that surrounds these contracts. There are some strong comments to be found on the internet, but these are aimed at vanity publishing companies that take on any work and publish without any editing, any marketing, or any passion or integrity for the publishing industry. This is not us. Our highly professional and motivated team from the production and marketing departments will work closely with you every step of the way. If you would like to review a contract, please let me know and I will send one over to you in the next few days. I look forward to hearing from you. And I'm not going to include the name of this company, but I did want to share what an acceptance email from a vanity publisher sounds like. Even though she says she's not vanity publishing, I still believe that this is what it is after doing some research after getting this email. And honestly, I don't think I would have thought much of it until I saw the paragraph where she starts. There is, however, some misunderstanding that surrounds these contracts that started raising some red flags for me and really prompted me to start digging a little bit deeper. The wording made me quite curious. And as I researched the company, I discovered that a lot of the books that they feature on their website, I copied the title of the book and the author name, and I plugged it into Amazon. And I could not find most of the books that they list on Amazon. And they claim to have broad distribution, and one of those places being Amazon. And for the few books that I could find that were on Amazon, they didn't even have the cover images uploaded, and none of them had any reviews. The missing cover images felt especially lazy. And from what I learned, this is one of the criticisms that are often directed at vanity publishers. They earn money from the authors rather than selling the books to the readers. So they'll take the author's money, promise them the world, and then when it's time to deliver, unfortunately, they don't deliver. And it seems pretty obvious from my research that I did that this is in fact vanity publishing, even if they're not taking every single author that's coming through. So when the contract finally arrived, the cost that was told to me, and this is for a 22-page children's book. It would include the illustrations. It was going to cost anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000. And after reviewing everything, I decided to walk away. And honestly, it's probably for the best. I think I want to do the illustrations, but that's for another time. I guess I'll talk about that in a minute. I do want to say what I told this publisher in a professional manner. I was pretty proud of myself. My husband and my son were both like, just don't say anything. Just say thanks, but no thanks, and leave it at that. And I'm like, but I do want to point out some things because it does feel like a scam, and I felt like I needed to say my piece. So this is what I said. Thank you for sending the publishing agreement and for considering Vinnie the Vulture finds his place. After reviewing the contract and researching the publisher further, I have decided not to move forward with the agreement. One factor in my decision was reviewing titles represented on the publisher's website and attempting to locate them through major retail channels. I was surprised to find that some titles were difficult to locate on Amazon, and in several cases, the listings I found appeared incomplete or lacked basic presentation elements such as a cover image. As an author, visibility and discoverability are extremely important to me, and these observations raise concerns about the level of distribution and ongoing support that I could expect for my book. I was also surprised by the author contribution required under the agreement, particularly as the agreement was presented as traditional publishing. After careful consideration, I do not believe this publishing model is the right fit for my goals. I appreciate the time you and your team invested in reviewing my work and wish you all the best. Kind regards, Lauren Connolly. I've already published 2 books through Amazon KDP and self-publish. It is a difficult process to try and figure out. However, I did figure it out. And if I really wanted to promote my books more and go to different bookstores and try and do signings and speaking tours, I could take the $3,000 to $5,000 that I would have spent on publishing this book and trying to promote the books I currently have. But yeah, it doesn't feel right. It feels scammy, and I really, really wanted to get that information out there to people. Sometimes people have a funny way of telling you exactly who they are, especially when they're trying to tell you that's not who they are. This lesson stacked nicely on top of another one this week involving lawyers and my Jeep recall. Not necessarily related to the rejection challenge, but again, the topic is scams, and I do want to get that information out there so people can learn a lesson. No money was lost on my end, thankfully, but again, a valuable lesson was learned. If you have a vehicle recall, contact the manufacturer first, ask what they are willing to do, and if they are not willing to do anything, open a case and get a case number. Document everything, have every single piece of paperwork, all the information, history about your vehicle, and then decide whether or not you need a lawyer. This is basically what the lawyers were going to do, I think, anyway, and then take 40% of the money that would have been earned from buying my lemon of a Jeep back. It's been a trip, let me tell you. So back to the rejection challenge. The thrill of seeing my work accepted by a publisher was something that, when I saw that I was accepted, got me really, really excited. And it's something I want to keep pursuing. So instead of forcing the wrong option, I spent the week researching literary agents and submitting to 11 of them. If they reject me, great, I'll add it to my count. That's literally the point of this challenge. And if they don't, even better. So, I did reach out to publishers. We'll see if they're interested in the story. And one of the agents wanted 2 stories. So while I was at it, I wrote another children's book called Nancy the Nurse Shark Finds Her Place. So I'm hoping to be a series about misunderstood animals and how they're able to find their place in the world. I mean, they already have their place in the world. It's just for people to understand their place. And that's the point of the whole thing. Maybe these publishers will wait for me to make my own illustrations. I hope that I get the chance to make my own illustrations. If not, it would just be exciting to get the children's book published. But who knows? We'll see. It's in God's hands, and it'll be how it's meant to be. I also have a writing group that I joined back in October, and I have yet to actually go to a meeting. And I think I'm actually going to be doing my first meeting this Saturday because I'll be in town. So I'm hoping when I'm there will be plenty of resources and support and opportunities. So I'm not worrying about it. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to keep creating, and we'll see what happens. So another lesson from this week is if someone reaches out to you and immediately wants money for a contest, and they can't tell you specifically what they like about your work and why they want you to submit, that's a red flag. Ever since the New York Times Square billboard contest, I have received 12 emails from various art contests and galleries. So, the scamming continues. That's often what happens. Yeah, they sell your information and you keep getting scammed. So I'm going to keep blocking them. The real opportunities usually mention something specific, a painting, a project, a podcast episode, something. Scams tend to sound like they could have been sent to anyone. So the updated rejection challenge statistics: total ask 123, accepted 31, rejected 31, and in review 61. So for the first time during my challenge, I sit at a perfect tie. 31 wins and 31 rejections. And honestly, I couldn't have planned that if I tried. So just to recap lessons from this week, looking back, the biggest one is that the excitement of an acceptance should never replace due diligence. Twice this week, I found myself staring at opportunities that looked exciting on the surface. One was with a publishing contract, and the other was legal help for my Jeep recall. And in both cases, taking a step back and doing a little bit more digging and some research saved me from making a decision that I would regret later. The acceptance email felt great. The lawyer promising to help felt reassuring, but neither one was actually the opportunity that I thought it was. Sometimes progress isn't saying yes. Sometimes progress is learning when to say no. Another lesson is that rejection isn't the only thing worth tracking. Good judgment deserves to be celebrated too. Walking away from a bad deal is every bit as valuable as being accepted into a good one. And perhaps most importantly, I'm feeling much better than I did last week. Last week, I was starting to feel the edges of burnout creeping in. I was frustrated, restless, and questioning whether or not all of this outreach was worth the effort. And I'm glad I only did 6 submissions last week and took a little bit of a break. And last week, I was able to spend a little bit more time creating and painting and working on projects that were exciting to me. I am working on a Key West coloring book and developing watercolor kits and making progress on things that were already in motion instead of constantly chasing the next opportunity. And the result? Burnout avoided. Not because I was working harder, but because I listened sooner. The rejection challenge was never supposed to be another source of pressure. It was supposed to help me become more resilient, more curious, and less afraid of hearing no. This week reminded me that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is pause, reassess, and remember why you started in the first place. Opportunities will still be there tomorrow. The important thing is to make sure that you are too. Until next time, unplug, get outside, and see what develops. Stay wild.
Wildly Unplugged podcast is a production of Wild Development Studio. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio's productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in such activities or venturing into wilderness areas. Wild Development Studio, its
its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.
For more great iRaw podcasts, visit irawpod.com. That's IROARPOD.com.